Fight fam, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification. Class in session. Canelo vs Triple G3 is likely to be similar to their second fight because both fighters still prefer the same style as they did 4 years ago. So this isn't going to be an introduction of skills as much as it's a narration of what has happened. All we really have to assess is if either fighter has the ability to change the outcome. Let's get into it. Studying Canelo vs Triple G2, I couldn't help but recognize that Bivol very likely got a huge piece of his game plan from Triple G. They both used the lead hand to disrupt Canelo's timing. Canelo isn't a typical front foot pressure fighter. A very large part of his game is based around a very particular rhythm and a high guard trap. In that rhythm comes the mistakes and vulnerabilities, which are thoroughly explained in this video and the tag that I made after the Bivol fight. But the point is, Triple G's elite jab exposed the weaknesses and vulnerability 4 years ago. Bivol very likely took notes and was more successful in the fight, showing us the difference between his elite lead hand and Triple G's elite jab. The main difference being control, but more on that later. Now everybody watching this video most likely knows that Golovkin has one of the best jabs in the game. It's normally hidden behind a series of lead hand and foot feints and very well timed. What isn't talked about is the lack of jab defense shown by Canelo. Canelo was often a sucker for the lead hand feints, pulling his own hand down to catch or parry exposing openings without stepping back, which is a basic mistake. Also, Canelo has to be able to see through his own high guard, so there is a natural opening straight down the pipe in which he often fails at closing.
Canelo Alvarez trying to slide it off that as much as he had. Pretty hard. Full. The body down. As we saw a year ago, Oil was saying second turns. Mac. Canelo shot. 10 seconds. Let's see the thing here.
I like how he sneaks the
what he's doing, Canelo.
Ground as much as he has in this rematch.
That's what I saw.
Hard and fast between rounds.
Give each other room to work with. That's what you want to see. Canelo.
Nice craft, not just with their
Triple G.
In Golovkin's arm.
To keep his titles. The fans are winning this one because it's heated. That's how you beat speed. I'm a speedster, I know. So, G's gonna get her. Yeah. Definitely younger right now.
He's punching through that jab.
Yeah, this fight's all about match. I don't think it'll do. I'm trying to see what or a left hook from Gennady. It's the same thing.
Golovkin lands a compact left hook that's almost like a power jab. Canelo falls short of his jab.
Triple G also found a lot of success with lead crosses. Most fighters initiate offense from the outside with the jab. So a come-forward counterpuncher like Canelo will have several defensive slips and counters waiting on a jab. When the backhand comes instead, you could catch Canelo out of position or unprepared. When Canelo made it clear the game plan was standing stationary or applying front foot pressure at the beginning of Canelo Triple G2, Triple G was evading Canelo's attacks by using simple reverse steps and reverse shuffles. Triple G was highly effective using the simplest, yet arguably most effective form of evasion to continuously make Canelo exert energy swinging at the air and try to find his range again and reset. When Triple G wanted to initiate offense, he'd often end up in close quarters where he intelligently smothered Canelo's work with frames avoiding the 50-50 exchange. Then he'd either push off to create the distance again, but more often he angled out with a pivot, step around, or step shuffle. Canelo has had an issue keeping up with his opponents that move out to angles, showing a lack of lateral movement that would cut off these escape routes and allow him to work.
Canelo landing some of the bigger punches. Did he do enough to steal that round?
I would like to see the punch stats. Those were eye-catching.
Between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, with the middleweight belts on the line.
Absolutely. He wants him to come on strong down this flank of Canelo Alvarez. Looks really bad. That's something that could get worse.
This is a real fight. Same pace. It's becoming a good fight.
Golovkin is working very recently in this rematch.
Could take a toll later on the fight. Boxing is a key word. You know, one thing that Canelo's doing, to put combinations together against either fighter. Canelo swinging at the end with Canelo landing some of the bigger punches. Did he do enough to... Yeah. So far, no clinching. Give each other room to work with. It's a very good fight. Canelo is strong.
But that Golovkin is not trying to march forward and push him back.
Triple G to take initiative. He's got to start. It's called walking your man.
Not so far, but you have to wonder.
I mean, the early part of this fight, Canelo did very well. Canelo is trying to
constantly in this rematch.
To put it plain and simple, there are moments in this fight where Triple G has sequences that make him look like the more slick and skillful fighter.
So they want to throw more punches and less power shots. But that's what they said, the stronger. Because there it goes again. Yep, another solid right hand from Gennady Golovkin. G's reading the close right now. Oh, his legs that look right there. It's only 3 minutes. Oh, but not here. The double final round, they're coming at him. He got buckled. Triple G landed a serious hook. And he hit the knees right away.
Of course, Canelo definitely had his moments as well. The biggest difference between an elite hand and an elite jab, in my opinion, is control. An elite lead hand has the ability to control everything. Most importantly, in this scenario, it can control an opponent's punches. An elite jab just means you're proficient at landing the jab. The jab is the most commonly countered punch in boxing, so with Canelo being one of the best at the high guard traps and Triple G not seeking control, you have some pretty devastating counters and lead power punches as a result.
Canelo loads up with a left, started from his hip. It ended on the right cheekbone of Gennady Golovkin.
Triple G's need to initiate offense and close distance to engage in 50-50s or, quote, Mexican style, unquote, allow for Canelo the opportunity to attack his body. Note Triple G stepping back, taking 5 with lowered hands and a deep breath when something significant lands downstairs.
Canelo Alvarez, 36-year-old now, he's going to have some energy. It's hard to go backwards and forward. Both cheekbones.
Now we're seeing the effect.
But he's fighting like he don't have the belts.
As Triple G was hurt to the body and or gassed, the leg slowed down about the 7th round and he defaulted to this position where he's leaning over his front foot with the shields up, leaving holds around the sides of both his body and head. With Triple G in this position, Canelo was able to land the work necessary to ultimately win on the judges' scorecards.
They're staying close. They're engaging. Canelo's is getting more confident. It's coming harder for G to be effective. He's not really wide. They're in small circle. That's what you want to see. They're staying close for the 8th round for Gennady Golovkin. They're staying nice and tight. Hard. Solid right for Canelo. 52 fights in his career.
losing their footing on the Tecate paint in the center of the...
He's throwing more punches, but he's fighting like he don't have the belts. Canelo's fighting like he got the belts.
After, you don't have to worry about these guys putting in the work, but when you get... I think that's a good energy.
His corner told him not to exchange with him, and he's catching shots in the 10. This doesn't look good for Canelo. Golovkin looks stronger right now.
Do that going forward. He's showing us a lot in this fight, and especially this round.
Right now, it's becoming a fight in the championship rounds.
That was 4 years ago against the undefeated 36-year-old Triple G. The Trilogy features a 40-year-old Triple G who has, unfortunately for him, shown the exact same signs in the progression of his last fight against a stationary front foot heavy fighter. Early on, it's an elite jab and step back game.
2 middleweight titles on the line.
There it is again.
The past, Chris, that he has had difficulty defending against.
Absolutely, yeah. And part of the reason why it's been a long night of fights, there's been a lot of fights fought in that ring tonight from some of those earlier.
Intelligent smothers and pivots.
To keep an eye out for Triple G.
Very interesting fight.
Eventually Mexican style, which leaves his body vulnerable.
Cross or around the guard more often than.
Interesting.
Back to the same position with his head over his lead leg in the high guard.
He breaks noses, a lot of power, devastating.
WBA middleweight champion. Good uppercut from her. Probably not what Triple G wants.
A little tactic that I don't know if the people at home have no round right here, beginning of round number 3.
Couple right.
I really like what Murata's doing. He's drawing a line in the sand. He's like
to the head, to the body. I've also never seen him fight at 40 years of age.
Ooh,
another
good body shot there
from Murata and a deep breath from Triple.
Yeah, that body shot hurt. You see him stretching out.
Some stylistic changes that are giving him even more success than he would.
When I saw the rematch live, I thought Canelo pulled it off slightly. Watching film, I thought Triple G should have gotten a nod, but as we all know, live's the only time it really counts. The Trilogy promises to be another competitive fight. If Triple G was to retire, quote, Mexican style, unquote, and box controlling distance with his still excellent jab and lead crosses, I give him a shot at upsetting Canelo. Unfortunately, that just doesn't seem to be built in him. I think Canelo attacks his body and he ends up defaulting to that flat-footed position with his head over his lead leg or center line again. I like whoever you had winning on your scorecards to win the exact same way. If it's the same type of fight, which is what I expect, they would likely favor Canelo. A body shot knockdown or knockout is possible, but I'm not sure I'd bet on it. However, looking at the prop lines today, they're actually pretty fair and allow you the chance to win some money. Even money for Canelo by decision is a miracle. Plus 185 Canelo by KO in the same line is unheard of. Sportsbook link in the description if you want some smoke. Let me know who y'all got. Let me know who you betting on. Peace.